welcome to Liquid Brain. So today I'm going to show you how you can use R to code your own Telegram bot so that they can automatically reply a certain message to your partner. So just like every other project in the world, relationship is very hard work. And one of the easiest thing you can do is to send a message every time that you wake up, you send a good morning message. Every night you sleep, before you go to sleep, you send a good night messages. And to be able to reply a certain keyword when a certain keyword is being sent. So in this case, maybe something like when she says she miss you, you just say I miss you too. And when she says she love you, you just say you love her too. So very similar things over here. So first criteria, it has to be Telegram because the package that we're running is Telegram bot. Yes, you could be able to use some other library, some other thing, but Telegram is a lot easier to start with. So first thing first, you have to have a Telegram account, obviously. And second is that you have to go to what we call a bot father. So you can just search for this account within your Telegram app and then type new bot. Okay? So that will create a new bot. Of course, you have to choose a name for your bot, whatever nonsense that you want, and you can put the same and then put a bot behind it. So this will initiate the bot, and then you should be able to start it off. Okay, so after you've created a bot, you actually have to go into the bot and start the bot. Okay, and once you're done, you can just put hello, and you will initiate the conversation and allow the bot to exist basically. Okay, second thing, you have to go back to bot father and then actually go to my bots, yes. Actually, and we go for the one just now and we search for the API token. So this will be the string of characters you want to start off the programming. Okay, so once you get this string of code, you will go to this website, kind of a URL, where you actually substitute the string of text here. So this is the string of text of the bot that I created. Don't worry, after this video is out, this is gonna be killed. So don't try to message me over here with my bot. Okay, so what you do is that you use the same URL, put in the new string of characters here, and then put get updates. Okay, so this will be the message that the bot actually receive in either the group they're added in or just direct message from you. So what we need here is actually the chat ID. So you need the API token where you can get it from the bot father, and you also need the chat ID, which can be get from this get update situation. Okay, so once you are done, create a group, add your bot into it, and add your girlfriend or boyfriend into it. So something you might need to change is that you might need to go to bot and go. So once you go to my bot over there, yeah, the internet doesn't work really well here. Let's just I'm gonna cut this out, isn't it? Okay. So once you go to the bot father, you just go to bot settings, go to group privacy and turn it on. Okay. So make sure that your privacy mode is enabled for the bot, otherwise they won't be able to read group messages. So now create a group, add the bot in, start a conversation, and get the chat ID of that specific group that you want. Okay, so now we can actually move on to R. So the type for Telegram is done. So first two library that we actually need is telegram.bot. So you can just go to package, install, and it actually is maintained under CRAN at the current moment. So it's very easy for you to install, for anyone to install. And then you go to string R, which is actually what we'll need to detect the message later on. Okay, and next one we need to load in the bot token and the chat ID over here. And then we create a new bot using the bot function with the token as the bot token. Okay, now we'll create an object called bot. So that will be our robot for the time being. Okay, so the next one I'm gonna send message function. So there's actually an inbuilt send message function. The problem is that you will always need to include a chat ID, but we only have one group that I need to reply to. So I'm gonna put the function as a way so that I don't have to include the chat ID all the time. So you'll just include the text to send and you will be able to send a message directly. Okay, something like that. So bot message and put whatever message that you want to send in the back. Okay, so the next one is actually a while loop. So in reality, you will actually want to upload the code to a virtual server somewhere and use a watch command to run the code every 5 seconds. So just for a way to demonstrate and to actually for things to work within our code itself, I use a while true over here. So it should run until the timeout. So when you run this, first thing is that it will sleep for 2 seconds so that when you run the looping, the code will only detect things every 2 seconds, so you don't send multiple messages and so on. So the first part of the code here is actually detect the minute. So if the minute is 00, means that the system time, so let's just have a look at this over here. So the current timing at my computer now is 55, or it's actually 7:55 at night now. So if it's not equals to 0, I'm not gonna send any kind of messages. So the message will only be sent when it's on the dot. So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So I sleep at 8 o'clock. I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna use an if command to detect if the minute is equals to 00, if the hour equals to 08, so that's 8 a.m. in the morning, it will actually send a message called good morning into the group. Okay, so the middle, I actually have something called a random nice word, which actually you can search online on what are the nice things to say to your partner, or you can code yourself and it's customized for what you need. So if it's within, okay, run if is run if here create a random number. Okay, so if it's within, so you run if 1 means you generate one random number between 8 and 23. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. If the random number is detected, so some random hours throughout the day, it will actually send this word over to the group. So it can be something like, I miss you, you look very pretty today, and you have very nice hair. I like your shirt, whether maybe it's blue, maybe it's not, doesn't matter. And today is the whatever day that you want to celebrate, whatever. Doesn't really matter as long as this command is able to send that message out on random every day. Okay, so similar to what I programmed just now, if it's 11 o'clock at night, you actually send a message called good night, very, very pretty person that you want to send the message to. And just to make things a little bit more realistic, okay, so I put a random number here from 1 to 10. So after I send the good night messages, you wait 1 to 10 seconds on random before you send the second message. So it feels like I'm typing it out even though it's not. And if you really want to be very, very thorough, you don't have to run it of 00. You can run the 00 again as a random number so that it doesn't get detected that obviously. Okay, so that accounts for good morning, good night, and some random time in between. So this is initiated by the bot, so there's no trigger. So the only trigger here is time. But what if instead of actually doing that, we can actually use what we call a trigger. So when a message is being sent out in the group, this is very this actually would detect a certain group in the messages, and based on message history, only reply to that when a certain keyword is detected. Okay, so now we're gonna demonstrate how you can actually get a way to detect the history and actually only send out certain message based on the history. So I have put an if true command to wrap this in, but it doesn't have to be that way. So this would depends on how when do you want to activate this function. So this if function can be wrapped with let's say on a certain time of the day, or is it a certain day of a week, or so on and so forth. So that's up to you. But in this case, in this code that are attached, it will always run. Okay, so what we need to do is kind of call a history and get updates. So if we run history and get update, the bot is not found because I have not run any of this yet. Okay. Okay, so we need to first of all a get updates command will actually retrieve the history. So that is very similar to our a URL on the URL API that we did just now. So in history, you actually get it's a list with many items. Every item will be one message. So it's actually an R6 object. So there's many things inside, such as you have the clone, you have the effective chat, message user, from chat ID and user ID means which chat it is, whether it's a user, it's a group, and so on. And from user ID is the name of the person that sent out particular messages. So what we do is that we want to go into messages, I want to go to chat, and we can actually see all the user detail, and text and chat ID will be the one that we want to target. So the last history does not necessarily means that it's only a certain amount of chat. It can be many things, which is why if you have many chat that you get this bot involved, you might want to put an if clause here so that you can reply to your many girlfriends various different things using the same bot, which is, well, it's an efficiency situation, but for security, I strongly do not encourage you to do so. Okay, so once you're done, you can actually detect just something like that. So the last message will be, because the history will actually get increasingly accumulated. So when you send more messages, let's say if I do here, okay, so what I send is hj something, and we run the history command again. You will actually, from inside, you can actually detect messages, chat, and text. See, so you actually get something that I sent out there, and this will be the ID. Yeah, chat ID will be this. However, I'm sending in a person message, which is why the chat ID is different from what I attached from earlier. Okay, so let's say now if I want to send message to this ID, so I can just put this ID into the ID over here, run it here, and everything. So for the chat ID, everything positive is actually a user. Everything on the negative is actually groups. Okay, so once I've done that, I can actually just put a bot send message like that, and you can see from here, you can actually see the bot actually replied to me directly. Okay, so what I do here is that last message will be the number of a length in history. In this case, history is a list of 2. So the last message will be only the message that I want to target. So that narrows down to a single message from many messages in the history. So the last text will be from last message, extract message, and extract text. So the last text now will be the HJ, whatever nonsense that I send, and last user will be the last user that I send the name. So in this case, it will be my name, which is random. Okay, so I also include a print last user and last text just for troubleshooting purposes, so that when you run the while command, you can get a consistent output of what is being piped into the messages, and it's easier to detect if you have any errors. Okay, so if I detect this will detect whether the string, which is this one just now, include this text or not. Of course, it is not currently case sensitive, so you can add another command there just to make sure that it's not case sensitive. But realistically, if you're texting your partner, nobody's gonna really care about the putting the correct capitalization. So I'll suggest you to change based on whatever preference that you want to. And of course, the send messages will be the same, and this will be up to your customization as well. If you don't usually say this, don't put it in your messages. You look fake, and they will detect it out, and they will actually murder you while you're alive, and so on. Okay, so I put another call system sleep, so that when they detect the last text, they don't repeatedly send the same messages. This is just to slow down the algorithm and the looping, so that it doesn't it doesn't run this command too many times within the same loop. So just to slow things down a little bit, so it looks more realistic. No one is gonna, you can't type that fast. Okay, so this is just to make sure that it's a little bit more realistic in the way that it applies and so on. Okay, so the next one is actually important, where you need to clean update. Okay, so what does that do is that now history, if you run the history again, you realize that history still have a length of 2. It still contains 2 different lists. But once I run a bot with updates, if I run the history again, you realize that my history is gone. So whatever has been previously retrieved will be cleared out, so that when you consistently sync the update down, you will actually not get any duplicate. So once you detect this text and they reply this text, they'll clear whatever history in the back until the next time where it detect certain things. Okay, so I only put two example over here. Where do you love me? I love you very much. That's a typical reply. And second, they'll ask, who are you? And you say, I'm a very nice person. Definitely not a bot. I program. Something like that. Okay, so again, I'll include system sleep and I'll include a bot update. So if you need to have more type of reply, just copy paste this whole loop and just includes how many kind of thing you want. For example, you say what's for dinner. For dinner, you can just say how about your love is enough for anything, survival, stuff like that. And maybe they ask what's up, and you can say don't know, ceiling fan, stuff like that. Okay, I don't really know how to spell spelling, and I usually spell it wrongly, so it look realistic and not like me. Okay, so once we're done with all this, I just walk everything into a while loop, and I can just run like that. So this will run forever until actually I'll get a timeout, which is from my experience about 20 minutes to half an hour. So let's try. So if I say something like funny here, I type some nonsense in my Telegram, and I go to RStudio, you can see that immediately the while loop will detect that I have typed a certain thing, and every time it scans, it will actually retrieve the last message that is being sent to the bot. Okay, so if you see duplicate here, don't worry, this is just what it is currently detecting and what is the last message and the last user. So let's say if I write something like what's up, it should actually reply here with a ceiling fan. Excellent. So let's go in again. Who are you? So in case they get suspicious, they ask something like that, they actually get, I'm a very nice person, definitely not a bot, I program. Perfect. And what if they say, do you love me? And they will reply, I love you very much. Excellent. So it works. So that actually works much better. And this is the first take, and everything works perfectly. Of course, I'm not suggesting that everyone go out and actually try to replicate this thing and send their girlfriend to a bot. I highly do not recommend that, and you're gonna get murdered and buried alive. But if you do want to automate a certain task, like you want to send yourself a reminder, particular day of the week and particular time of the day, or you do want to send an automated message to other people in Telegram, building a bot and using this script is an excellent way of how you'll be able to have a certain reply. So with that, please understand that the code that I use for the tokens as well as the chat ID is gonna get destroyed immediately after this video, so don't try to contact me that way. I'll leave it in the script so for you to understand the format, and you can substitute your own API token as well as your chat ID in. And also we will be open up a public Telegram channel for this YouTube channel, so that if people have any question, I think the best way is still to put a comment down below, because that will actually help other people that are watching the video. But we do want a Telegram if you want to contact us directly for anything, and you do have any certain question. I believe that will also make it easier for you to read directly. So before we go off, let's try to ask the bot if they love me again. And thank you, I love you too, Brandon, not bot. Okay, so that ends our video. I hope you learned something, and come and join us on Telegram chat, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.